The moment my ex-wife's lawyer, Mr. Thompson, looked at me across the sterile mahogany conference table and said, asterisk asterisk, you, Mr. Hayes, inherit everything, asterisk asterisk, my jaw nearly hit the floor. Directly opposite me, my son, Mark, went absolutely rigid, his face turning a sickening shade of gray. Just minutes earlier, Mark, with a smirk I wanted to wipe off his face, had crowed that I would get asterisk asterisk, absolutely nothing, asterisk asterisk from his mother, Eleanor's, $160 million estate, dismissing me as a pathetic ghost from her past. He had spent the last 2 years treating me like dirt, cutting me out of every aspect of her illness and death. But what Mark and the rest of the family didn't know was the single, perfectly worded clause in Eleanor's final will, a clause that honored a promise she and I made 40 years ago, a promise that asterisk asterisk disinherited everyone else asterisk asterisk, and left Mark with the pathetic sum of asterisk asterisk $15 asterisk asterisk. I had been prepared to walk away with nothing, but instead, I walked out of that office with $160 million and the ultimate, delicious revenge. Was I wrong to seize every penny, knowing it would financially devastate my only son and the stepfamily who had scorned me? Or was this the precise cosmic justice I deserved? Tell me, if you had the power to reclaim your entire future from the people who had actively tried to erase you, would you take it, or would you let mercy dilute your victory? My name is George Hayes, and I was 63 years old when I became an accidental billionaire, or, at least, a multi-millionaire. To understand the magnitude of this win, you need to understand the depth of the history and the bitterness that preceded it. Eleanor and I were married when we were just 20, fresh out of college, madly in love, and absolutely broke. We were two young entrepreneurs with a shared vision. We started a small software company out of her parents' garage. We spent 20 years building that company from nothing into a tech empire. We were partners in every sense of the word, professional, emotional, and financial. We made a promise to each other, a deeply romantic, almost naive vow, asterisk asterisk, if one of us ever leaves, the other gets everything. Asterisk asterisk, we even had a small legal document drafted, cementing that mutual promise. It was less a prenup and more a pledge of perpetual partnership, a symbol of our shared sacrifice. Then life intervened. We had one son, Mark, and as the company grew into a major corporation, Eleanor changed. She became aloof, cold, and eventually, she left me for a younger, flashier venture capitalist named Richard. The divorce, 20 years ago, was brutal. I was devastated by the betrayal. However, because Eleanor was the one who initiated the split, and because the company was in a volatile state, I honored a specific request from her. Instead of splitting the assets 50/50, which I was legally entitled to do, I took a very modest, predetermined buyout of about $4 million, and I signed a document relinquishing all future claims, her current and future shares of the company, which she then rapidly grew and eventually sold for hundreds of millions. I did it because, at the time, I was too broken to fight, and frankly, I was still holding onto the moral high ground. I built a smaller life for myself, retiring comfortably, but certainly not in the league of the wealth Eleanor possessed. Eleanor and Richard got married, and Mark, influenced heavily by his mother's new, opulent lifestyle, quickly adopted Richard as his true father figure. Mark was 18 when they married, and he completely iced me out. He viewed my $4 million comfortable life as pathetic compared to Richard's private jets and estates. For 2 decades, I was barely an afterthought. I would get a curt, obligatory Christmas card, but nothing more. 2 years ago, Eleanor was diagnosed with an aggressive, terminal illness. Mark and the rest of her new family, Richard and his 2 adult children, circled the wagons. I found out about her illness not from Mark, but from a mutual old business friend. I tried to visit her, to offer comfort, to simply see the woman I had built a life with. But Mark blocked every attempt. "You forfeited that right 20 years ago, George," he told me over the phone, his voice laced with venom. "She's my mother, you're nothing. Don't even try to show up at the funeral. Eleanor passed away 6 weeks ago." I wasn't at the funeral. I kept my promise to Mark, remaining a silent, grieving observer from afar. Last week, I received a formal, curt notice from Eleanor's estate lawyer, a Mr. Thompson, requiring my presence at the reading of the will. I was baffled. I assumed she had left me some token, perhaps an old watch or an obscure piece of furniture. Or maybe she was simply ensuring I was legally present to confirm my previous waivers. The atmosphere in Mr. Thompson's office was thick with anticipation. There was Richard, Eleanor's grieving second husband, looking anxious. There were his 2 adult children, looking greedy. And there was my son, Mark, radiating a smug confidence that made my blood boil. Mark couldn't resist twisting the knife. As we waited, he leaned over and whispered, loud enough for Richard's family to hear, ***, "Don't bother getting your hopes up, old man. Mom made sure you get absolutely nothing. Maybe a photo album. You signed away your rights 20 years ago, remember. Stick to your little $4 million retirement fund." Richard and his kids chuckled meanly. I just gripped the arms of my chair and waited. Mr. Thompson, a dry, precise man, began reading the extensive will, detailing the bequests to various charities and Richard's children. Then came the part about the main beneficiary, Mr. Thompson cleared his throat and read the final, critical clause of the main trust. "To my son, Mark Hayes, who has always known his mother's heart, I leave the amount of $15 $15 to be delivered in 3 $5 bills as a symbol of the time he spent with me." The room went completely silent. Mark's face went slack with confusion and then outrage. Richard looked like he was about to have a stroke. "Mr. Thompson continued, addressing Mark directly, "the remainder of the entire estate, valued at approximately $160 million $160,000,000,000,000, including all current and future assets of the corporation, the primary residence, and the entire liquid trust, is bequeathed to my first husband, George Hayes, under the terms of the Hayes Preston Partnership Agreement, signed on May 14, 1985 ***. He looked directly at me. "Congratulations, Mr. Hayes. You inherit everything." The explosion that followed was nuclear. Mark leaped out of his chair, screaming about mental incompetence and forgery. Richard demanded to know what this partnership agreement was. Mr. Thompson explained that it was a binding legal agreement, drafted before the divorce, which Eleanor had explicitly upheld in her final will, superseding all other claims on the main trust. Richard's assets were safe, but the entire $160 million fortune accumulated during the second marriage was now mine. So that's the situation I was in. I was sitting on $160 million, while my son and the scornful stepfamily were left with virtually nothing, purely due to an ancient, romantic legal promise Mark didn't know existed. The will was ironclad. Eleanor had orchestrated the perfect, final, silent revenge on everyone who wronged me. Before I tell you how I handled the chaos, the legal challenges, and the final fate of the $15 inheritance, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have been the bigger man, splitting the money with your estranged son? Or would you have honored Eleanor's brutal justice and taken every single penny? I took every penny. Eleanor's final act was a gift of justice, not reconciliation, and I was not about to disrespect her genius. Mark and Richard immediately launched a massive legal campaign to contest the will, citing Eleanor's mental state during the final months. I had my team ready. Mr. Thompson produced meticulous records, including psychiatric evaluations, proving Eleanor was perfectly sound of mind and had specifically ensured the clause was binding, naming the 1985 agreement and my name explicitly. She had even added a notarized statement explaining that her legacy should go to the person who truly built the foundation of her success, her first partner. The court battle lasted 6 months. It was nasty and public, but the will held firm. The *** Hayes Preston Partnership Agreement ** was recognized as the supreme legal document governing the estate. Mark's $15 inheritance became a humiliating media spectacle, the symbol of his complete and total rejection. I was finally able to talk to Mr. Thompson privately. He revealed that Eleanor had orchestrated the entire thing from the start of her terminal illness. She realized that Mark and Richard's family were circling her wealth and had actively excluded me, the only person she truly respected, as her equal and co-creator. She designed the entire will as a final, crushing lesson for Mark, punishing him for his greed and his cruelty toward me. The mandatory inclusion of the $15 was purely to force a reading of the will, ensuring I was present to witness Mark's humiliation. Once the money was secured, I didn't become a reckless playboy. I used the money to start a charitable foundation dedicated to ** funding small tech startups founded by women and underserved minorities **. The kind of project Eleanor and I used to dream about. I put some aside for my own security, of course, buying a beautiful, comfortable estate. As for Mark, he was ruined. He had leveraged his own small assets based on the * guarantee * of inheriting millions. When the will was upheld, he was left with nothing but crippling debt and the infamous $15. I never spoke to him again. I didn't send him the $15. Mr. Thompson delivered it personally in 3 crisp $5 bills, just as the will stipulated. I never achieved reconciliation, but I achieved something far more profound. *** vindication **. Eleanor's final wish didn't just give me $160 million. It gave me back my dignity, proving that for all her faults, she recognized who her true partner had been. The money allowed me to honor the shared, better part of our past, while ensuring that the people who scorned me received the cold, hard justice they deserved. Like this video if you think Eleanor's final will was a brilliant act of poetic justice. Subscribe for more stories about shocking inheritances and the ultimate revenge. Share your final thoughts on Mark's pathetic $15 inheritance in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.